So what was you saying about your the weight
Right,
cut?
sorry about that. I got cut off.
No, don't
I
worry.
don't know. Weight. Yeah, so anywhere between 83 and 81 is about perfect to get out of 70, to be honest.
Okay.
At the minute, I'm sitting in a good place. I'm happy where I am. Could be a little bit bigger, but I always say that for I like to make my my coach who helps my weight cuts. I like to make him stress. But we make weight fine. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's always that last pound is always a problem. It don't matter whether I'm making 155 or 156. That last pound is always a problem. But like for the Adam Proctor fight, I did the same weight cut I do for lightweight. I just didn't do the water cut. So I made 170 easy. I was drinking water the night before, keep my weight up. And then I had my first shake early, so I had a good recovery.
Mm. What's your thoughts overall in regards to weight cuts within combat sports? Do you think it's a good thing, or do you think people should be fighting more closer to their natural weights?
I love weight cutting. I feel better when I weight cut. When I cut weight, I always feel better. Like it's like a pre-fight ritual for me to make sure I'm suffering before I fight. I just think it's part of the business, and like UFC's done everything they can to make it safe. Like the water testing that one does, I think is just a waste of time. I think it's just making it more difficult for the fighters. Leave them do the cuts they can. The best way to do it is what UFC have done, where they help you with your weight cuts completely. They recommend supplements. They recommend recoveries. Their medical tests are ridiculously extensive. Like I've got a full ECG done before that. I've got a full ECG. I have even more intrinsic eye tests than normal. Like I think my eye test is going to cost me like 350 quid. There's like stacks on stacks of medical stuff we have to do. And everything is rigorous. So they look after you, do you mean? Like they don't want any deaths. UFC's not had a single one yet in UFC, and I think they're gonna keep it that way. So do you mean like they have deaths in racing, they have deaths in basketball, they have deaths in rugby. I think they've had deaths in football, but there's not been any in UFC, touch wood. So exactly. They're doing something right.
And it's been some people have called it human cockfighting. You know, the most extreme forms of combat sport, and no one's died.
I love being called a gladiator.
This is
love fighting for people's entertainment. Do you know what I mean? Like that's why I like to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like I like fighting in an empty room. I like fighting full stop. But having a crowd there or having people support from back home just makes it better for me. Do you know what I mean? I'm gonna fight whether it's legal or not. So allowing me to fight is a release. Do you know what I mean? Like they say about this, and about you have the people who saying that like any sort of combat sport is barbaric. But do you know what I mean? Like people need their releases. Do you know what I mean? Like this is the thing with the zombie apocalypse, as you call it, where they was like trying to prevent people from going outside. Like I understand for people's health and the stats, they're making it better. But the amount of, obviously, I'm a mental health campaigner myself. I don't know if you know that. I campaign for Tidy Butt. I'm an ambassador for Tidy Butt, as well as sort of trying to advocate for mental health, whether it's men's or women. I haven't actually suffered myself. I openly say that. I've just met a lot of people who have suffered, and I've had a lot of talks with people and sort of try to see the inside. So no, I don't understand for those at home saying, "Oh yeah, he doesn't understand." I fully agree. I don't. I've never been in that route, but for the amount of talks about it, people about it, I understand how much of a burden that could be, and I'm always open for people to talk. But the amount of deaths and suicides from mental health during the COVID stuff is going to be ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? And if not, the after effects of this, like how do you mentally recover from, say you got left a business, it's been a family business for, I don't know, 3 generations or 2 generations, and everyone in your family's been all about this business, and it comes to COVID and you aren't in control and COVID destroys that business and it's gone. How are you going to be able to, do you know what I mean, as a man or as a woman, how are you going to be able to look yourself in a mirror and be like, I'm responsible for my family's downfall? Do you know what I mean? Or even something smaller, where you haven't, like these people in mental health, like care homes who have dementia, who's not speaking to family, and they're
Yeah.
regressing so rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
There was a woman near us not long ago who got arrested because she kidnapped her mother from a care
Oh,
home
yes,
because they refused to
indeed.
release her.
And that made
Do you mean
national
it's
news,
that?
right?
Yeah, well, anything's better than COVID, nah, so it's a nice change. But like generally, like the way they look at it, like they were out. Like I understand the police had a job to do, but surely if she's already fled the care home and they're already out, because when they took her back in, like they put her in isolation. So because she'd been out in the outside world, she wasn't allowed to see even the people she had been seeing. She had to go into a self-isolating ward. So someone with dementia who needs to be socializing constantly, they were struggling because she wasn't socializing enough. So when they took her out, when they took her back, they put her into isolation away from the people she'd been speaking to. So she was speaking to even less people. Like, how does that make any sense?
None of this, Mason, 90+% of this does not make logical sense. It's
Yeah.
appalling. When I saw that video, it was heartbreaking to see that whole
Yeah.
situation unfold.
Well, I understand advocating for minorities. I understand that massively. And looking after the minority of people who are at risk, I understand. But when the majority is suffering because of the minority, whereas there's been multiple cases of people saying, of minorities saying, look, I'm at risk. I fully understand that. But I see family members suffering where if everyone would go back to normal and they had to shield, surely rather than putting everyone into sort of putting people off work and paying for them, if they literally let everyone work as normal and then put all the funds into protecting the minority of people who were at risk and shielding the people who needed it, they could put more funds into that. And then if you was at a legitimate reason you couldn't, and they protected those people. So like one of my coaches, one of my boxing coaches, it's not my main boxing coach, his brother, who's a national boxing coach for Wales, or he was. He's got an autoimmune disease where his body attacks his organs. So obviously something like COVID would
Yeah.
probably really affect him because it's to do with his white blood cells. So his immune system isn't the
Ah,
best anyway.
okay.
So something like COVID would probably wreck him. And he's out and about and said, look, he said, I'd probably kill myself if I had to stay in the house. He said, I tried, and he said, I'm struggling. So for him, like, he'd be wearing a mask, he'd be washing his hands, and he does himself to stay away from people. But he says the same thing, like, people should just be able to go back to normal, and sort of, he should be able to just sort of deal with it as best he can. And like, without getting too far into a tinfoil hat conspiracy thing, like, the death count isn't accurate at all. And I got strong views on certain points of things, which I'm not going to obviously go in on. Two topics you should avoid is always politics. I can't remember, and religion.
Religion and
So
religion.
I'll stay from and
Look,
religion. So yeah, so I'll leave it there. But yeah, so the zombie apocalypse is irritating for me. Lucky I'm a contracted pro athlete card that I wave around in people's faces. They're
yes,
like, oh, you can't do that. I'm like, contracted pro athlete, bye.
this is allowing me to get my fresh air, to exercise, and to try and
Fight people.
conduct some kind of normal facet of my life rather than,
Yeah.
as you've highlighted, there are people who have been stuck for the first lockdown for 12 weeks in
In a one
isolation.
bedroom flat.
Yeah.
In a 1 bedroom flat with no window.
Mm.
Staring at the walls, only allowed out to go for a shopping trip, and when they go down the park, they get shouted at and fined. Do you know what
It's
I mean? Like, at least with me, I'm in a town. I need to get the official figures of the population of the town because I'm sure it's about 5,000 people. So it's tiny. We're on top of a mountain. So if I want to, if my head starts getting thing, I'll just take a dog and walk up a mountain. There's no one there. The police are very rarely going to see me. And that was if I was a normal person. Do you know what I mean? So you could just go and just go. So like, if I started struggling with a little thing, I could just go. So like, I love that part of my life, but still, like, the fact that there's certain people stuck in like London in a 1 bedroom flat and scared to go outside for different reasons, or worried about getting fines about how strict it is and stuff. The the first lockdown was ridiculous. Obviously, from what I've heard, London now. You based in London or where are you based?
Birmingham.
Birmingham. So what's Birmingham like? Because apparently London is just normal life. They just the only people who are struggling are people with businesses. Everyone else is just going about their life.
Pretty much, being a second city and all, especially with the second lockdown, it's nothing like the first. Nothing like the first.
Yeah. Everyone's
Um,
had enough.
Pretty much. I mean, that there's it's businesses that are open that shouldn't be open, clearly. Not lots of them, but you are seeing them still open. But look, for instance, barbering and
Yeah.
nails and stuff. They have a system where they can limit the amount of people who come in, do appointments only, schedule those appointments in so the risk is that minimal. It's nothing. It's not, not nothing. Let's not minimize it, but it's not as a high risk versus as
Yeah.
the current guidelines are is you have to have a certain bubble, and if you don't fit inside of that bubble, that you can't see those persons unless you go shopping, and then you can mix with hundreds of different people who are not within your bubble, and that's fine. This kind of stuff doesn't make sense. It's not logical. One and one equals
Let's not go
two.
down this route. Let's not go down this route. Come on, change the topic. Let's not, because I'll just rant. And it's not a good public image thing, especially like the way I always look at it is like my view is my view. But if your dad died from COVID, your view is going to be different.
Oh yes.
That's the way I always look at it, because people's priorities and people's perceptions are always different considering their circumstance. So I don't want to alienate people who are all for
Mason,
the thing.
listen,
So
it's all about giving people an alternative view, and
100%.
giving
If
them
only
the
life worked like that. If
well,
only
this
life
is
was
it, and this is the thing. This is the things. Some people, are totally opposite to the kind of conversation we've had. It's like, no, that's what's been on the news, and that's it. But as I say, try and seek an alternative viewpoint on a situation, no matter what it is, whether it's a serious situation we're talking about now, or if it's something trivial. That's
So I'll put
all.
one more comment in, and then we have to change topics.
Yes.
So I'll put one more in. And me and my girlfriend talk a lot about this, because my girlfriend's highly intelligent. She's more intelligent than me. I'll give her that. She's very intelligent. She's trained to be a lawyer, and she's unbelievably charismatic. She's just amazing when it comes to stuff like that. And like, I'm not just saying that because she's my girlfriend, but she like, people meet her and they understand. But anyway, we've talked about this, and like, everyone has sort of gone through the stage where they go on about free speech, and people think free speech means they can say what they want in public and get away with it. But then they also believe that if other people are saying stuff that doesn't the sort of connect to their perception or their opinion, then it's wrong, and they shouldn't be saying it. So like, one of the things we think, so like, I'm always massive for encouraging people to vote. It was the people who were saying, putting media posts up during the obviously when he was coming for the polls, where everyone was voting, do the right thing, vote Labour, or do the right thing, vote Conservative. And I was like, look, that's not acceptable. Do you know what I mean? Like, I understand encouraging people, but like the Stormzy thing, didn't he? Where he was sort of peer pressuring people into voting for Labour. And I was like, look, I understand that you shouldn't use a position of power to sort of
influence
dictate what people should do and make it. I understand influencing. I don't mind that, where you say, look, I'm voting for this reason, and give your reasons and your opinions in a civilized manner is fine. Like, I had a conversation with someone, and this is one of the reasons I don't like many people, because I remember him saying, look, said something like, what was it they said? All those people who voted for Conservative, you were the reason we're in this place. So like, for me, I spoiled my ballot. I always do. I don't believe in the whole, the way I see it is you choosing whether you want to be hung, drawn and quartered, or whether you want to be slowly burned to death. That's the way my views are when it comes to things. So I still vote every single time, but I spoil just because there's no party that I would like to put my name to. But then also, I think Boris is doing the best job he can. I didn't vote him in, but I fully support that democracy means that when people vote in, whether you agree with it or not, that is who comes in. So like these people who went on a protest after the vote come back for Conservative just blew my mind. Like, you want to live in a democracy, but when people make a democratic vote, you want to campaign against it. And it was like, obviously with Brexit, like Brexit makes everything more difficult for me as an athlete who wants to go away and compete in different countries. But we made a decision to leave. So that is what we're doing. You can't go and be like, look, I don't want us to leave, so I'm going to protest my right to protest because you were doing things that I don't want. That's not how democracy works. Do you mean? Like, if you want a dictatorship, that's fine. Let's elect the dictator and let him do and say everything and then see people complain. Do you mean? But sometimes it does irk me that everyone just likes to complain about complaining. And everyone sees, like, everyone goes on about parties saying, like, this party controls this or this party controls that. And that doesn't really affect change. The parliament affects what laws are made. Not like, I understand the party it sets the precedent and they are the ones who guide it, but nothing gets past the House of Commons or the House of Lords that doesn't benefit the House of Commons or the House of Lords. That's the way it goes. And different things is just things. So if you want to believe the whole blame the scapegoat and witch hunting minorities instead of seeing the main issue, but then, like I said, we go down this rabbit hole. I'll be here for days because my views are strong on things like that. So it's not really the best for
all good, all good.
image.
No, all good, Mason, all good. I like the picture you've painted so far. Since we've been so much in the present, let's jump in a DeLorean and go back in time. What part of Wales, what small town in Wales do you hail from, sir?
So I am from the mighty town of Blaenavon.
Where is the nearest big city to that, or biggest town? Because I'm trying to picture that.
So I'll start naming town to town, town to city to wherever it goes. Let me know if you've heard of any of them.
Yeah.
So Blaenavon first, in South Wales. Then we go Pontypool.
Yeah, okay. I know it. Okay. Yeah.
Then Newport, then Cardiff.
Yes.
And obviously, there we go. So South Wales, lovely place. Rains all the time.
Yeah.
Toughest people on the planet. Honestly, like, we always made jokes that you take land people in Perma anyway, they'll probably be able to win a fight. So I don't know where they beat most of the Russians, mind. They're literally brought up fighting for scraps. Do you know what I mean? So I think we have a bit cutchy now. Everyone's getting soft, but tough town, tough people.
Definitely. So paint a picture for especially the non-UK residents. What is Wales like?
So let me go into this first. So before we go into Wales, Blaenavon is an old mining town which was filled with miners who would work 12, 14-hour shifts, probably more, then come home and before showering or thing, they'd have a fight or they do some sort of contact sport. Wales is a lovely place. It's lovely. We have probably the best thing that comes out of Wales is the lamb, because it rains and it's so rocky and like you're always going uphill or you're going downhill in Wales. I love the place because it's like the most picturesque place in on the planet. One of the nicest places I've seen. When it's sunny, it's always cold and rainy, so my joints were always terrible. But like an average temperature is obviously, going off the British, is between 0 and 13. You'd 13. Say on average, I think. Yeah, 13 degrees.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, so 13 is warm for us. I mean, like 13 is where I'm dressed at the moment, which is jumper and tiny little shorts. That's 30-degree weather. I mean, I put socks on when it starts freezing.
Proper Welshman attire, that is, man.
Proper Welshman, I mean. And I complain when I get wet. Like, I don't understand. Why am I cold? Legs don't get cold anyway. The amount of times you talk about this, legs don't get cold. You get cold, you put another hoodie on, or you put a rain jacket over the top and a hat. I'll keep you warm. Never take your shorts off. Put some socks on.
I'll remember that one. That's crazy. All you need is some gloves, and it's just your hands are getting cold. Just your hands. Your legs are cool. You know what I mean?
You're going to put them in the hoodie pockets then, man. Keep them warm. Oh, there we go, sorted. Mate, the
Definitely.
amount of times where, like, I've got like, bad situations and I've been in slides, shorts, and a sweatshirt. Like, if I don't have a hoodie on, it's normally a sweatshirt. It's like a baggy sweatshirt, tiny bit of shorts, and a pair of slides. And like the amount of stuff times that like I've ended up in like all the like different things where I've needed like to do mobile things, and it's like I'm in slides, shorts, and a sweatshirt. I mean, it's not the best. So
You ain't gonna be too
I
mobile
remember
in.
not long ago actually, and you'll like this one. So I went. My girlfriend runs a kickboxing gym. So my girlfriend actually, because I always go in and tell people about my girlfriend. So I told her she's a lawyer, very intelligent. She's also one of the toughest people I've met. She's this nasty human being when it comes to fighting. So she did Olympic Taekwondo for a long time. I think she started when she was 5, so she beat me on the starting front.
Wow.
She's got a Commonwealth bronze medal, as well as a Olympic qualifying medal. She was in Team GB and she was based in Team GB, where I'd never really lived the lifestyle down there. I just used to travel down to train. She lived the life, did it at a high level before she had some injuries and sort of struggled with her mental health and stopped. So yeah, she's an absolute beast. She's currently training to be a lawyer in uni, so she's paying $9,000 for Netflix basically. And then I think she just got a job on the side as well. But yeah, so she's incredible, my girlfriend. So yeah,
That's tremendous, that is. So what side of law would she be practicing?
So she wants to do criminal law. She said when I make it big time UFC and we have a solid income, she wants to do a lot of the innocent project stuff. So she wants to go and be I forgot the proper term. She wants to help a lot with Black Lives Matter and innocent project stuff over in America. So obviously when we got a guy in training camp, she wants to help there. And she's just, so we've had discussions about it multiple times. Like she doesn't believe in the death penalty because the amount of innocent people who get killed, and she's massively against innocent people getting done. So that's her dream, I think, is me to make the money and her to just be able to do things pro bono and just help
pro
out people.
Bono, that's the word. Yes.
Pro bono. Yeah. So she's the innocent side of the thing. She's like she's a Catholic and always believes in the good in people, and I'm more the darker side. Do you mean I hate people and always see the darker side of things?
Well, you
black and white.
You balance each other out, then I guess, with the two different.
She's the brains, and I'm the violence. But she's got a temper and she can scrap as well. So I think I need to increase my intelligence a little bit because I'm falling behind. You know what I mean? So I'll just be the one who smiles and goes, I guess, help. Yeah. So the story I was going to tell you. So I don't think I've told many people this. So this was a while back. So it was after one of my fights. So I went to the kickboxing club because she wanted me to meet some of the kids from the kickboxing, and because I just won one of my fights. I can't even remember who it was I fought. I didn't have no cuts, so it must have been Desme, I think. And she was a while back. And she was like, look, you don't want to stay here because I sat in the corner because I read a lot. So I met all the kids, had some photos, and then she was teaching the class. So I sat inside, started reading. She was like, look, if you're going to read, go get me a coffee. I was like, yeah, sound perfect. So I jumped in the car. It's literally 3 minutes down the road to get a coffee. Drove to get a coffee. And as I was pulling into the car park, the drive towards the Costa, there's a sort of pub on the side. And some guy and his girlfriend come out. And I was driving to the car park. I was doing about 20, 30 mile an hour. Like there's 20 mile an hour I was doing. So it's legal speed limit signs in the car park. So I was slowing down. And him and her, literally, they looked at the car and decided to walk straight out in front of the car. So I slammed on, swerved around him and beeped. And literally the guy looked at me and waved his hands in the air. So I beat the car on again, and he comes strolling up to the car. So I'd stopped now. So my car window was broke. I need a new car. So I opened the car door and was literally said to him, look, what's your effing problem like? And he punched me through the car door.
Wow.
Straight up, just straight out of the blue, punched through the car door. So I literally slipped the shoulder, caught the shot in my shoulder, popped the seatbelt, run a low single, run him into the ground, slapped him a few times, and then literally tucked my chin and lifted my shoulders, ready for his girlfriend to boot me in the teeth, because I thought that's coming next. I've hit the floor now. His girlfriend's going to boot me, and then I'm going to have to react to it.
Yeah.
So I tensed ready, and honestly, like, this is one of the red signs for me. This was, she lifted me up so gently and was like, please stop, please let him go. He's ruined my night again. I can't believe he's done this. And I was like, wow, so this is a reoccurring thing. So, because again, the mentality, I always keep calm, try not to react to things in these situations. So she lifted me off. I instantly stopped, because when you're sort of starting to get into a heated sort of altercation, when people react with cold calm, when you expect violence, it's sort of an icebreaker sometimes, especially when like, I'm used to fighting. Do you mean I don't really lose my temper too much? So I was sort of like, it caught me quite cold, so I was literally like quite shocked. And the guy got back up and started screaming stuff at me, and I literally looked at him, and then I looked at myself, and I had these baggy shorts on, a baggy sweatshirt that made me look, and I look quite young. Like, if I shave this off, this tiny ginger fluff, I look quite young. Especially when I'm not cut up or bruised, I do look young. So in the car, I did look like a young kid. I looked tiny in the car anyway, because I got quite short up a torso. So I looked small, I looked skinny. So he had seen a young kid in a car and hit him. And from what she'd said, he'd done this multiple times before. And what he said after it, he was just a bully who was used to. So my brother had literally just turned 17 at the time. So yes, it was 2 years ago. So my brother just started driving, and he's not, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm a born scrapper. He can handle himself. But when people get caught in the situations, young boys, it's just not fair. So knowing he'd done this before, my temperature started to go. I was struggling to keep calm then. So I started getting quite aggressive towards him. And there was CCTV in the car park, and he'd hit me first. So I had my hands up, and I literally said to him, look, mate, you take one more step towards me, I'm going to decapitate you. I said, as easy as that. I said, I'm just going to decapitate you. I said, and you could tell he's quite angry. Well, he whipped his phone out, called the police, and said, I know who you are. He said, you're that Cage Warriors fighter. And he rang the police and actually tried to report to the police that I had assaulted him. So bearing in mind, it's all on CCTV, so I don't understand. And then, so he rang the police. So I straight away got back in the car and pulled into a parking space, because he was in the middle of the car park.
Yeah.
So he was following my car when he's driving to flee the scene and all this. And I was like, parked into the thing, got out the car, and he ended the phone call. As soon as he ended the phone call, man is switched. He was like, I know where you live. He said, I'll find it out. He said, I'll burn your house to the ground. He said, that car, he said, I'll burn her out. So I was just laughing in his face. He said, your family, he said, I'll slash your family up. And as soon as he said that, I looked at him, I went, mate, I said, you want to get into that game? I said, I will end you. I said, literally, I said, I'll end you. I said, you want to start doing this? I said, we'll just go again. And he he took about 2 steps back, and I got quite dark. And I said some other things, obviously I won't repeat. But anyway, so this is the situation I'm on about, and it's just like this whole thing where like martial arts being barbaric and stuff, like people like that, like where they have this hard man mentality and they go out assaulting people and stuff. And it's like, if I didn't know how to protect myself and how to run a low single, take him to the floor, I didn't mark him, I didn't hurt him, I slapped him a few times and I gave him a shock. But there was no bruising, there was no cuts, there was no bleeding. Like, my brother would have had a kick in. Like, I know boys I went to school with, that if someone had hit them with a car door open, like, what he would have done, he would have hit me, made me flinch back, put his knee on my chest where I'm seatbelted in, and he would have hit me with about 10 shots and probably would have broke my nose and busted my eye socket. Because it isn't hard to hit down on someone. You're generating so much force. Mm-hmm. And especially boys don't know how to fight. And it's he was an older guy. Like, I think when I found out who he was later on, none of my friends would tell me who he was at the time, because one of them knew who he was, but they knew what I was like, and they didn't want me getting in trouble. So because the longer it sort of stewed in my mind, and I realized what his wife had said, that he'd done this previously, and how young I looked, it just sort of, things like that, it does set me off. So I'm quite glad the way I reacted to the situation at the time was more than acceptable. And the police turned up, and I had a bit of a disagreement with one of the police officers. The lady was lovely. The guy knew the guy, and did some dodgy stuff afterwards. But like you said, he didn't get charged. There was no police things. And do you mean anytime you fight outside of a controlled circumstance, you put your whole future at risk? Because at the end of the day, if someone's smart enough and the CCTV didn't cover that moment, or they missed little things, do you mean you're just putting your whole future at risk? So it worked out for the best. But again, like, I know you, like, the whole reason I went off in this tandem was because, like we said, about MMA being barbaric, and they only see the side of things. But like, I was able to restrain a guy who had a definitely had a history of violence and was not a nice person who was looking to hurt a kid, what he saw as a kid, and restrain a guy and put the fear of God into a kid. So hopefully next time he thinks about picking on someone who he thinks is young, he may double think. Do you know what I mean? And like I think they should teach it in schools, because like if I didn't learn and get into fighting at 7 years of age when I did and go down the route I did, I'd be in a different place. Do you know what I mean? Like whether that means I probably, because I like the buzz I get out of fighting. I like the way it keeps me calm. Like I'm a very, very aggressive person, but when I get to train all the time, I compete regularly and I live a healthy lifestyle. Like I don't drink. I've never touched drugs. I've never smoked, just because it's what I want to do. I'm obsessed with martial arts, but even the people I see with Man's Club, like the way it changes lives. And like I know boys, you hear it all the time where like boys who would have been doing other things if they weren't doing it. Like Marshman's another one. Jack Marshman, obviously, he said previously, like after the army, when he was in the army, he was lost. Like it wasn't for the army and MMA, he don't know where he'd be. He probably would be in prison. And like I probably would have been one of those people, because I would have been going out and looking for a bigger buzz all the time. And then whether I would have gone into a different route, like I have a good family, so it all depends. Do you know what I mean? But I don't know. It just, some people, they need an output, because I was one of them people who couldn't handle the sort of emotions I was going through. Like I couldn't handle the anger I had all the time. Like I could literally be sat in the house. Like it happens now. So if I have more than 2 weeks off training, I'll sit in the house, won't be doing anything, and I'll just be so irritated. And like, like you want to grind your teeth, you're so irritated and you don't know what it is. Do you ever get that mood where I have that all the time? And it's like, if I don't go back training, I don't know what it is. And my mom said I was born with it. Like when I was a kid, I was a lovely kid, but she said I just had these bouts where I had to be moving, or whether it's got a medical term or not, I don't know. But I had these things where I just had like an emotion inside. Where if I tried like sitting still or doing stuff, it just build and build and build until I explode. And like I always struggle with my temper. And like I'm the calmest person you'll ever meet when I'm training. And like, do you know what I mean? Like it's
it's
crazy. So
as you're highlighting, it's about trying to at a generally as you're highlighting as well, reference to teaching combat sports within school. It's finding an outlet, giving discipline, structure, and the physical act of releasing those endorphins, competing.
well, no. Well, it's like no matter how you cut and dry, how you look at it, what your perception is, we are animals at the end of the day. Like it wasn't long ago where we were stabbing each other. It still happens. Do you know what I mean? Like everything's a power play this time. Like, so modern day, you don't really get anymore. It's more the intellectual battles and stuff, the different things, and some people get a thrill out of business and cutting a new deal, and some people find their thrill out of different things. Like a friend of mine is a race car driver. He gets his thrill out of that. Like I've tried skydiving. I've done multiple solo jumps. I actually like skydiving. My team stopped me doing it because they worry about me getting injured. I
Fucking
I
hell,
snowboard
Mason.
heavily, surf,
Whoa,
dive,
whoa, 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 whoa,
ride
whoa,
motorbikes,
whoa, whoa.
anything.
Mason. You telling me you've done multiple solo skydiving?
Not many. So for a skydiver, I think I've only done like 40. So I'm like a bare novice. But I've
Well,
still done quite a lot.
how about for someone who doesn't jump out of planes? You've done 40, you say?
Yeah, 38, I think. If my logbook, I don't think I put the last two in. So on my logbook, I'm jumped in 2 years now, but I did jump last year. So yeah, so I've
Explain
done about 40, which
explain
isn't
that.
much. Like I know people.
Like
So I know
what's
people.
the
So
feeling of jumping out of a plane with like explain your first experience doing that, Mason.
So I did a tandem skydive when I was 16 because I always wanted to do it. My mom and dad said I always want to be like James Bond. I mean, like there's always something I want to do. So I always want to drive bikes, drive diggers. I can operate a digger. I can drive a motorbike. I can drive a car. I can drive vans. Can't drive a 10-ton or HGV yet. That'll be on there eventually. But I like being able to do things. So skydiving was one of them I always wanted to do. I did a tandem when I was 16. Loved it. And then I found that you could do solos because obviously it wasn't fast enough doing tandems. So I started. I think my mum and dad bought me my first level 1 on a FS1, I think it is. I can't remember what it's called. It's free skydiving number 1. And literally, they train you up for you do a day course for like 5 hours, and they take you up the plane. You jump out with 2 people holding on to your suit, and they literally just there so that if you don't pull your parachute, you panic, they pull it for you. And then the next jump you do again doubles, and then they jump with 1 instructor, and then you go up until you jump in solo at level 10, I think. So I flew through it. I liked it. I liked the buzz, and then towards the end, it got a little bit boring. So I loved it. It was just it gave me a buzz, but it was just the sort of you waiting around all day to go up and then you jump 3 times. Whereas if I fight, you get the buzz all day, and it's like the fighting buzz is different than anything else, especially fighting in front of a crowd. Like obviously, you like have you like you've had fights outside before? Yes.
Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah. So that, but like whether you like it or not, like even if there's a little bit of fear or anxiety there or a little bit of pressure, like you get a buzz off it. Like you will be pumped up after it. You've had a little bit of a punch up. Do you know what I mean?
Of
In front of a crowd is
Yes.
100 times better. 100 times. Like I don't even get nervous anymore. Like I'll sleep. Like so before the Adam Proctor fight, we had to be in the lobby at 3 o'clock ready to go. So my coach had all my kit in his bag. I didn't have to carry anything. So I took the duvet off the bed down, sat in the corner, rolled in the duvet, went to sleep. When the bus came an hour later, they woke me up. We went in. I sat in the bus, got the venue, put a pillow on the side, wrapped up in the duvet, went back to sleep. And then they woke me up an hour and a half later because I didn't sleep very good in the lobby the first time. I was just dozing with my eyes off and sort of trying to stay calm and just chill, not think of fighting.
So
not because I get nervous, but it's just because you're trying to keep your adrenaline gland from obviously pumping adrenaline. Because if I think about fighting, it's like now I think about fighting. Do you know what I mean? My adrenaline's pumping.
Yeah.
I'm ready to throw bombs. Do you know what I mean? So you try and keep it full to the top. It's like a stamina bar in a game. Try to keep it maintained at the top and peaking. So I sleep before a fight. So I remember they woke me up an hour and a half to start warming up before I walked out. We warmed up. And then we was laughing and joking. I threw his walkout song come on, and it was "I Need a Doctor" by Eminem. And I was shouting. He was ready to make his walk, and I was shouting across, "Give it 10 minutes, you'll need a doctor." And all my corner team was laughing, and we had a little. And then obviously we made the walk end. So there's 2 times that are the hard in the fight for me, and that's when you're in your waiting area waiting to fight because your adrenaline's peaking, you're ready to go, but you're trying to keep it maintained, and then you try and not to get too excited too quick. You try and stay calm, and then like you just waiting to go. And the second time is when you're in the cage and they start introducing you. Oh, I hate that part because you're just waiting.
You just want to go in it.
You're in there, and it's the longest 2 minutes. When you fight, that 5 minutes goes like that. But then 2 minutes when you're waiting, and he's like, in the blue corner. And it's like, I don't care. I don't care. They know who I am. Let's go. Let's just go. Just lock the door.
Yeah.
Let me bang, bro. Do you know what I mean?
And he let me bang, man. That must be an experience. I mean, you've very articulately painted a very vivid picture of your experience going, pre in the cage to, actually getting into it. Your first experience fighting with, let's say, a couple hundred people, did that change from just fighting with like maybe 30, 40 people kind of thing? The step up in crowd numbers?
Judo so the judo sort of sorted it for me. Like I didn't care who was watching, who was there. I got so used to going away. So the judo we do like we'd be constantly fighting. So we'd fight every weekend. You train, you do all this work, you cut loads of weight. Because you're constantly cutting weight, it's so draining to constantly keep cutting weight all the time. So like sometimes you'd have 2 weeks, there'd be like a 2 week break. So you'd fight and you'll be fighting for 2 more weeks. So then everyone would be eating shit because none of us knew how to diet. And then we'd be running loads and starving to make weight. I remember when I was 15, I was a small 15 and I was really skinny. Like I'm not the biggest now, but I was skinny. You know what I mean? I was like a skeleton. I did an 8-kilo cut to make weight. I killed myself. I starved for like 4 days. Was running empty, made weight, ate Chinese takeout, fish, crisps, chocolate, Nutella. We had no clue. We just ramming it in. McDonald's, just anything we wanted was getting. I never really liked McDonald's. I'm a celiac anyway. So we was ramming all this food in. And then you try and fight the next day. Sorry, low power mode. We try and fight the next day and we'd be knackered. And then obviously you've got to perform. So I lost countless amounts of fights. And like high pressure, high events that really mattered. And like fights that would sort of change my career for the long term, or like get me selected for the Commonwealth Games. Like I qualified for the Commonwealth Games and then ended up getting injured in a competition before I go. So like I had numerous things happen and lost numerous times, and I don't care. Like if I go out my next fight and I get knocked out, it'll be because he was a better fighter on the day. It won't be because I wasn't prepared and I wasn't in the right mental space. Like I've always said this, like my coach is like, are you ready to go? And I'm like, I could walk down the shop to pick up bread and fight 100 people, no questions asked, and I put on a performance. Do you know what I mean? I've always been the same. Like I've never been a big drinker, so I was the I was the safety officer for the boys. So like I was the one always keeping eyes out, and I'd be flirting with girls and then keep an eye out, make sure none of the boys got stabbed or bottled. I stopped a few of the boys getting bottled once or twice and dragged them out of situations that were not good. Made sure they've got home when they're in a state. And also I got in a few dust ups when I was younger, and sorted a few people out. Like it was always my way. You know what I mean? Like I was always one looking out for the boys. And to be fair, they look after me now. Now they know with the UFC come in, and it's a different world than it used to be. Like even when I was younger, which not long ago, like we were going out at like 17, 18, and you could get into fights and people were better. Like the way it is now, you get into a fight and someone's calling the police and someone's pressing charges, and it was never that mentality. Like where we was from, like there was people weren't as bad for weapons. Like girls didn't glass people, which is horrendous now. Boys didn't carry knives, nor out the part we were from.
Yeah.
And people would have a punch up, and a day later they'd either be punching up again or they'd be having a laugh. Do you know what I mean? It was just the way it was. Like obviously you got a few bad apples who where just they had chips, do you mean? Where they had this thing where their ego mattered so much that you always knew them boys would just, they were sly, do you know what I mean? Like they're not even tough. Like it's the thing. So we had this conversation, me and a friend of mine's loose. And he always said, what's the definition of hard? Is hard someone who can fight, or is hard someone who has nothing to lose? And it was just such a wake-up call for me, where you're making these mistakes and you're out fighting and you never know one. Like all you got to do is hit someone wrong and they're dead. You know what I mean? Like that's the way it was. And it was just when I was younger, it's such a good laugh, and you're going out and like people, like no one knew who I was and no one knew how long I'd been training. And like I was always a little blonde guy who you get people out 6'2", 6'3", and I was like 5'7", 5'8", who'd be starting, and I'd be like, look, boys, just leave it and go home. And they'd be looking at me thinking, I'll drop this little blonde boy now.
Yeah.
And then 2 seconds later, I was putting people to the floor. Do you know what I mean? So it was just one of them things where I looked after the boys, and I got a moral compass. So I like my tattoos. So that's my moral compass. So
is that Mandarin?
It's kanji. So it's okay. Chinese Japanese is a weird one, kanji. So that's the principles of Bushido. So it's honor, respect, integrity. That's the way I try and live my life. Like I said, I'm not a religious person, but I do believe people need to find their rules to live life. Do you know what I mean? If you don't have the rules or you don't have morals you live by that are sort of set out, and I think you'll struggle in life. Just where you know, yeah, Bushido, yeah. So old school, but
yeah, the way of the warrior.
Way of the warrior. So I've always tried to make right decisions. Like obviously, it's not always been the right decisions I've made, but I've always been one of them people. So like if I saw, like I'm not a type person. Like I never. If someone was getting beat up, I didn't know, I wouldn't sort of stick my head in, but I make sure that they didn't die. You know what I mean? Like, it was just the way it was. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd always look out for people. If I seen someone getting their drink spiked, I'd always give them a tap and let them know. Not that like Newport was bad, because Newport was like parts of Wales is always good, but when you're sober, you see a lot of weird shit. Like, and I was always quite perceptive anyway. So like, I stopped my cousin getting bottled once. There was a guy who was just again, you never know if people are struggling, but he just looked angry. And he was barging through people, and we always stayed in a big clump because we always looked after each other. So there was our mindset. People wouldn't cause trouble because there was always like 30 of us ready to back them up. So people sort of learned that there was no trouble, because if you started, the only times there'd be fights would be people who knew people would fight, and then everyone would sort of leave them go. Do you know what I mean? But outsiders or people who didn't know wouldn't really start fights because there was that many people there. They'd all just gang up on you and tell you where to go. Do you know what I mean? So it was a good way to stay safe, actually. But I remember this boy come barging through, and he started arguing with my cousin. My cousin's like, look, there's like 30 people here, and like a couple of people give him a push, and he's like, look, just back off and go home. Or do you know what I mean? Just go out somewhere else. And I seen him grip his bottle behind his back. I guess he was arguing. It was only tucked by his side, right on his leg. And I literally just, as he went to swing, I caught the bottle, and I literally, as he swung his hand, like he sort of swung from his side, sort of around to slam him. As he slipped it out, I caught the bottle and pulled. And he sort of like swung his hand with nothing in, and then sort of like looked at me, looked at my cousin, and my cousin went to punch him. I pushed my cousin and was like, "Look, but leave." I said, "Oh, you're gonna like, it's not. I'm not gonna say what I said, but it's not gonna be good." You know what I mean? So he scampered off quite quick, but it's just a thing. Like, you don't see it so much, but I'll tell you what you do see a lot more, and that's girls bottling people. So my younger brothers, we call him Black Sheep because he's a loose cannon. Big shout out to Black Sheep if he does end up watching this. He does watch a lot of them. Black Sheep's very lippy. He's a very confident boy, and he does love. He's single and loves girls. So he's had multiple disagreements with many girls. But I remember not long ago, might be over a year now. They say not long ago, but it all blends in, especially with the COVID stuff. Back before the zombie apocalypse and people could go out, I remember he got in an argument with some girl just because she'd had a falling out with her boyfriend, and she was sort of trying to argue with him in Newport. They'd had a few drinks, I think. It was Newport or Cardiff, and they were sort of giving each other abuse, and he was like, look, just leave us alone. We're trying to have a good night. And she bottled him straight across the face, split his eye open. I was tapping because it come down here, and it was literally a couple of centimetres. It caught the bottom of his eye. And if he'd gone a couple of centimetres to the right, the doctor said this when he had stitches. I took him down to get stitches because he was a clean cut. I took one look and was like, that needs to be glued or stitched, or you're going to have hell of a scar. And I thought it was down here. And they said if you'd been a couple of centimetres more, you would have been blind in one eye. And
Mason, what do you put all this down to? I mean, I have heard of an increase of, young ladies, if we can call them that, being quite violent and stuff. But this bottling thing, where's this coming from?
I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. When I say people believe in the equality of everyone now, and everyone sort of has this thing, there's a certain minority of people who believe that, like you said about the opinions earlier, they can do things, and like the gentlemanly thing is girls can hit boys and boys don't react bad, which is fine. Like, if I've been clocked by girls before, and like I'm not the type of person to hit someone back, but like the glass thing, like I was brought up like with the mindset of weapons and stuff is always no. But then if you mention that like if you brought this girl down, because I don't know who she is, she's a Cumbrian girl. If you brought her down and said to her like that's a weapon, they would be like no. I'd be like, well, would you carry a knife? And they'd be like, no. I was like, well, using a bottle is a knife. Like glass is just as bad as blades. You know what I mean? Like obviously blades, the way they carry and the way they use different things, and like bike spikes and all sorts, I guess is bad. Do you know what I mean? But you're still using a weapon. Do you know what I mean? Like whether you mean to, whether you're drunk or not. Like the way I look at it, if you sleep with someone and you've got a boyfriend or you've got a girlfriend or whatever, and you sleep with someone else, that's cheating. It doesn't matter whether you're drunk or not, or what the excuses are, or it's cheating. It's the way it is. Do you know what I mean? So if you're glassing someone, you're carrying a weapon. That's you've deliberately used a weapon. Do you know what I mean? And like I've never really understood that. But again, maybe if they taught martial arts in school and people had some modicum of control, then and people had ways to get thrills, then maybe it's different. Do you know what I mean? But again, you never know what goes through people's minds. Do you know what I mean? But so I was big against that, and I said to him, look, you should press charges. I said, she's a girl. I said, you can't exactly. Do you know what I mean? It's not like if it was a boy, you can go down there and get into a verbal argument, because obviously I'd never recommend my brother go to someone's house and get into a altercation. With a lady, do you know what I mean? There's only so much you can do. And I remember she was texting saying, look, I'm sorry for glassing him. I was like, look, just go straight to the police. I was like, she needs to learn, because like someone else, all you need to do, I think it was a centre, so I think he must have he must have pulled back. All you had someone need to do is just flinch, and that would have been in their eye and blind. Do you know what I mean? Like, can you imagine losing 50% of your sight?
Over in love,
it
a lover's
baffles me.
tiff.
You know what I mean? Well, it wasn't even his girlfriend. It was just one of his friends. And he said, I said, look, what did you do? And he said, look, I only said to her, I said, look, just leave us alone. We're having a good night, and give her a bit of abuse. But slap, do you know what I mean? There's things that are appropriate and there's things not. And like, this is the thing, is like, you don't see boys getting a verbal altercation and throwing slaps or throwing punches straight away. Usually it builds up a little bit, but girls seem to have that hair fire trigger where they just lash out and they don't care about consequences. That's just from my personal experience. Obviously, I'm not generalizing or putting on any gender misconceptions or whatever people want to throw at me and say, but it's just from my personal experience.
Far from it. I mean, our listeners are very open-minded in that respect, so you won't get any hate in that respect.
No, but it's this thing where people react to violence like we are animals, and no one knows how to react to violence appropriately. And it's like, I understand people say, look, people should just be able to talk. When you add emotions and you had alcohol and you add intoxicating substances, which people take multiple times, I know most people I know take drugs. I think I'm one of the only exceptions to that rule of people I've met who don't take drugs.
Clean fighter.
I put down to that. I never liked the fact of losing control. Like I said, I always liked being the one who looked after the boys, and I just like that sort of thing. And I like the fact that I could go training the next day. Like I could still go out and enjoy the night and the lifestyle to it before the cage warriors started picking up and people started recognizing me a bit. And I could go to train the next day, no problems. But it's like even the police, like I got stopped the one. So I'd been speaking to a girl and we went out and I met her at one of the bars, and I remember we chilled for like an hour or two till it got a bit later on, and then we left quite early, and we walked out, past some police, walked to my car, got in a car, drove. Police car pulled out, followed us. So I knew they was going to stop me, and they pulled me over into a carriageway. And the police officer come out and said, "Oh, look, we've just seen you come out of a club." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Are you just doing this?" I said, "No." I said, "I've been out." And he sort of looked at me and was like, "Oh, do you want to do breathalyzer?" I said, "Yeah, it's no problem." And I blew clean, and he was like, "What?" He was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I've been out." I said, "I've met," and said the girl's name. I said, "We're going back to mine." I said, like, what's the big deal? And he looked at me disgusted. He was like, "You've gone out without drinking." And I was like, "Do you want me to be drinking? Like, would you prefer it if I was drinking? Like, what's the big deal?" Do you know what I mean? Like, she's of age. Do you want her ID? Do you know what I mean? She was older than me. I think she was 24 at the time. I was only about 21. I was like, "Do you want her ID? You can ID her if you want." Do you know what I mean? Like, we're both, like, do you know what I mean? We're both adults. You know what I mean? We both know each other. It's not something like, I haven't gone out looking for drunk girls and like hunting drunk girls and dragging drunk girls into my car to drag back to my lair. Do you know what I mean? Like we knew each other. Like, it was something that they sort of been hinting at. It was so, but like, I'm never that type of person. Like I said, my moral compass, do you know what I mean? I've never, touch wood and honest to God, I've never touched anyone or done anything inappropriate. Like, I've always had my moral rights for that. And I know some people have done some dodgy shit, but I've never been one of them. Do you know what I mean? Like, again, I'm sober. Do you know what I mean? So there's never been that thing where I never done that. It's just, I've never.
But you know what it is, Mason? Because like, from that police officer's viewpoint and his experience, you didn't fit that stereotypical Welsh lad who come from the bar.
Abnormally. Yeah. Abnormally. That's where I am. An anomaly.
Definitely. So, Mason, what's the best way for people to get hold of you social media wise? Let's plug all your socials.
So Instagram's the best. Instagram's the best. Get in touch with me. Drop me a message. If you want to talk, like I said, I talk a lot about mental health. So if anyone's struggling these times, drop me a message. I can't promise you I'll get back to you quickly. Not because I'm a rude or I'm a stuck-up prick. It's just the fact that a lot of messages drop into my requested messages, and it's a nightmare to see messages a lot of the time. And I do get a lot of messages, believe it or not. So I do try and get back to everyone. The annoying people I do put on mute, but reach out, drop me a message. I will get back to you. I remember after the last fight, I replied to like 5,000 people, but I got back to everyone. So drop me a message. Instagram's the best. Otherwise, so my Instagram is at MasonJones95, the one with the blue tick. So yay.
You blue ticked up now then.
Blue tick, yeah, man.
Mr.
Otherwise, after Joe McColgan fight, so I've had it a while now through the whole COVID zombie apocalypse. But yeah, so find me on Twitter at MasonJones995. Drop me a tweet. I'm probably a bit slow on that, but I'll get back to you. And the Facebook is at Mason Jones, at Mason the Dragon Jones. It's my athlete page. Drop it a like. You'll see news and stuff on there. But yeah, please drop me a message. Get in touch. Whatever you want. We can chat, whatever you need. But yeah, like I said, if anyone is struggling these times, either reach out to me, or if you think this guy doesn't know what I'm on about, reach out to my girlfriend at, I don't know where your Addy is. You'll find her on my account. She's the blonde pretty one, the one who's in most of my photos.
Don't worry.
Stuff like yourself.
What I'll do is I'll put all links below in the description to yourself and to your lovely
Madison. Yeah. So if you can find it, she should be. And another one, if you can tag, is Tidy Butt. So Tidy Butt is a mental health charity during this time. I do advocate for them. So drop a message. Please don't feel that reaching out is a weakness. Like I'm tough. I'll say I'm tough. I've never had to sort of reach that point where there's no way out. But I met a lot of very, very strong people who have, and I believe that it affects everyone eventually. It just depends on your circumstance. So if you're in a dark place and it feels like there's no way out, and you do feel like the best way out is self-harm or obviously do anything, then please get in touch. Please just drop me a message. There's always someone willing to listen, and it's hard times for everyone, but it's all about perceptions. Do you mean what affects you may not be the hardest thing to someone else, but it could be what sends you over the edge. So don't feel ashamed. Just reach out.
Yes, excellent, wise words there. All success for your up and coming exactly for your UFC debut. Yeah. I have two quick questions to round off the interview. First one is, have you had fun?
Yes. Sorry for saying you on a tandem. Like I said, I can't talk, man.
It's all about you. As I said, Mason, at the start, before we started, it is all about you, man. So this is an excellent highlight of you as a character, as a brother. My
tinfoil hat and all sorts.
Tinfoil hat, if you want to label him that, brawler, fighter, athlete, mental health advocate. All of the above, man. I think you've shared a tremendous amount of yourself. With the listeners. I thank you very much for that. My very last question to you is, we've obviously went quite in depth about yourself.
The rabbit hole.
Yeah, we went down the rabbit hole. We've come back up. We went into the DeLorean with Doc and Marty. Now we're back in 2020. We know you're Mason the Dragon. So tell me who you are, but don't tell me your name.
Sorry, I lost you a little bit there. What did you say? Sorry?
So tell me who you are, but don't tell me your name.
So I am one of the, 300 and something people signed to the top organization in the world, UFC. I'm blonde. I'm a proud Welshman. I'm a mental health advocate. I'm obsessed with what I do. I'm an adrenaline junkie who tries to live his life a certain way. Whether you find that cringe or not, that's the way I live. I'm someone who tries to make sure that they enjoy every moment and that I don't get stuck in this rut of the 9 to 5. One day it'll be better, sort of my mentality. I prefer to struggle now. And it's starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm someone who's always tried to live their life the way I think I should. I'm an avid fictional reader. an avid sort of tinfoil hat. I wouldn't say conspiracy because I'm not that
Alternative
bad.
view. Let's just say alternative view, Mason.
Alternative thinker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very, very open-minded. And I'm very much into self-improvements. So I've got a bucket list of things I want to do. I want to learn sign. I want to learn multiple languages. And I want to explore more of the world. So please get behind me, support me. I'm one of the most beautifully violent people you'll see. Beautiful violence, like I like to call it. So you'll like my fight style. I'm starting a YouTube channel soon. Apparently tomorrow is the first day of filming for it. I've been trying to do it for years. So finally we've got a crew together who's going to help out. So we'll be pumping that out soon. And you'll get to see more into my daily life. And you can see some of the times I think I'm funny, and my girlfriend definitely doesn't think I am. So, like I said, get behind me. But yeah, feel free to drop me a message. And I am serious about the mental health thing. So if anyone is struggling, feel free to drop me, my girlfriend, or Tidy about a message. He's unbelievable broke, and he listens very well. I struggle with listening. I'm good at talking, struggle with listening, but I will try my best. So please send me a message or contact one of the below.
Excellent. And as mentioned, for your YouTube page as well, once that's up, if you can provide me the link again, that will be in the description below. Make sure everyone goes over to all the social medias. If you haven't already subscribed to Mason the Dragon, get on the Instagram, get on the Twitter, get on the Facebook, and support. If you've got issues, as Mason said, he's advocating for mental health and stuff. So if you want to have that conversation, DM wise, the options are there. Again, thank you very much for your time, kind sir. Look forward to seeing you in the UFC octagon, not in the cage, but in the octagon.
100%. Octagon. Hopefully, man, I'll pick some more Brummy supporters up because I mean, like I've been filming them a good few times. It's a lovely city, and again, there's another big group of people there who I'd love to have supporting me and backing me. Whether you want to see me fail or whether you want to see me succeed, just give me a watch.
Definitely.
Drop me that. Follow on Instagram, and you can wait to see me get knocked out. You never know, right? So yeah, thanks for having me on.
Trustfully not, Mason. We ain't going to see you get knocked out for some time, man. We're going to see you on a nice little win. We're going to increase that 10-0.
Just watch, man. Just watch. That's the main. I'll prove people wrong. Do you know what I mean? So I'm indestructible in my own eyes. So yeah, we'll see. So yeah, thanks so much for having me on. It's been wonderful chatting. Like I said, I am sorry I go down tandems and go down the rabbit hole. It's just my personality.
All good. All good. Thank you again. And again, subscribe, like, comment, and most definitely share.